The old station wagon, affectionately nicknamed the Wanderer, pulled into the driveway of the suburban home in sunny California. 10-year-old Leo, a bundle of barely contained excitement, practically bounced on the balls of his feet, his eyes glued. Grandpa Samuel, his face a roadmap of kind wrinkles and twinkling blue eyes, emerged, his arms open wide. "There's my big man," he boomed, his voice a comforting rumble as he enveloped Leo in a hug that smelled faintly of old books and peppermint. Sarah, Leo's mother, and David, his father, were right behind, their faces alight with genuine joy. It had been too long since Grandpa Samuel's last visit. Grandma Rose had passed a few years back, and these visits were precious. The first 3 days were a whirlwind of rediscovered joys. Mornings were filled with the aroma of Sarah's pancakes and Grandpa Samuel's surprisingly adept omelette-making skills. Afternoons were for Leo, who eagerly showed off his latest Lego creations and listened, rapt, as Grandpa Samuel spun tales of his own mischievous boyhood, stories of climbing the tallest trees and outsmarting neighborhood bullies, which always made Leo giggle. Evenings were a cozy affair, with David grilling in the backyard, the scent of barbecue mingling with the jasmine blooming by the fence, or everyone gathered around the TV, debating loudly and affectionately over which movie to watch. Grandpa Samuel was staying for 10 days, a golden stretch of time that Leo wished could last forever. Then, on the 4th day, a small crack appeared in their idyllic bubble. Sarah, a dedicated architect, received an urgent call from her office. A critical deadline had been moved up. "I'm so sorry, everyone," she said, her brow furrowed with stress as she grabbed her bag. "I completely forgot about dinner. I have to rush." David, though a little flustered, managed to whip up some pasta, and the evening, though slightly off-kilter, passed. The 5th day brought a similar scenario, another crisis at Sarah's firm, another rushed departure, another makeshift dinner by David. Leo noticed a slight tightening around Grandpa Samuel's mouth, but he didn't say anything. The 6th day, the crack widened. David, who worked as a software engineer, got an emergency page just as he was about to start breakfast. A major system crash required his immediate attention. "I have to go," he said, already halfway out the door, his mind clearly elsewhere. "Can you guys figure something out for food?" Sarah and David, both frayed from their own stressful days, reacted defensively. "Dad, you don't understand," Sarah said, her voice sharper than she intended. "It's not like we want this. We have responsibilities." Sarah and David, both frayed from their own stressful days, reacted defensively. "Dad, you don't understand," Sarah said, her voice sharper than she intended. "It's not like we want this. We have responsibilities." "Responsibilities," David chimed in, equally stressed. "We're doing our best to provide for Leo, to give him a good life. That takes work, hard work." The words, born of stress and exhaustion rather than malice, struck Grandpa Samuel like a physical blow. His shoulders sagged. He saw not their intention, but the sting of their perceived dismissal. He had come to connect, to share, and he felt like a burden, an interruption. "I see," he said quietly. The twinkle in his eyes dimmed. "Perhaps my timing was poor." He stood up, his movements slow. "I think it's best if I head home tomorrow morning. I wouldn't want to be in the way any longer." No amount of flustered apologies from Sarah and David that night could soothe the hurt in his heart. He went to bed with a heavy resolve. The next morning the house was quiet. Sarah and David, their faces etched with a mixture of guilt and the lingering stress of their argument, had already left for work, a strained goodbye hanging in the air. Grandpa Samuel packed his small suitcase, his heart aching. Before he called a cab, he tiptoed to Leo's room for one last look. He found Leo curled up in bed, his face flushed, his breathing shallow. A wave of alarm washed over Grandpa Samuel. He touched Leo's forehead. It was burning. "Leo! Leo, wake up, son." Leo moaned, his eyes fluttering open, glazed with fever. "Grandpa, I don't feel good." Panic, sharp and cold, gripped Grandpa Samuel. He grabbed his phone, his fingers fumbling as he tried to call Sarah, then David. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. Their phones were likely off or on silent in meetings. He was an old man, in a neighborhood he barely knew. He rushed outside, his heart pounding, looking for a neighbor, anyone, but the street was quiet, houses shut tight as people went about their weekday routines. Desperation clawed at him. Returning to Leo's side, a surge of adrenaline born of love and fear coursed through him. He couldn't wait. He gently helped Leo, weak and shivering, out of bed and into some clothes. Supporting the boy, who leaned heavily against him, Grandpa Samuel half carried, half dragged him out to the Wanderer. His own back ached, his breath came in ragged gasps, but he somehow managed to get Leo into the passenger seat and start the car, his hands shaking on the steering wheel as he navigated towards the nearest hospital sign he vaguely remembered seeing. Hours later, David's phone buzzed, a missed call from his father. A knot of dread tightened in his stomach. He called back immediately. "Dad, what's wrong?" Grandpa Samuel's tired voice, strained but steady, recounted the morning's events. "Leo's at St. Mary's Hospital. He had a high fever, a bad infection, but the doctor said we got him here just in time." David's blood ran cold. He immediately called Sarah, his voice trembling as he relayed the news. They both dropped everything, racing to the hospital, their earlier argument, their work stresses, all paling in comparison to the fear for their son. They found Grandpa Samuel sitting by Leo's bedside, holding his grandson's hand. Leo was asleep, his fever down, his breathing easier. The doctor explained that Leo had developed a nasty bout of pneumonia, and if Grandpa Samuel hadn't acted so quickly, it could have become much more serious. "Your father saved him a lot of suffering, possibly worse," the doctor said gravely. The words hit Sarah and David with the force of a physical blow. Guilt, sharp and overwhelming, washed over them. They looked at Grandpa Samuel, truly seeing him, not as a complaining old man, but as the hero who had pushed past his own age and frailty, past his own hurt feelings to save their son when they hadn't been there. The stress that had made them lash out now seemed so insignificant. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. "Dad," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "We are so sorry. We were stressed and we took it out on you. We were wrong. Can you ever forgive us?" David put a hand on his father's shoulder. "You were right, Dad. We lost sight of what's important. Thank you. Thank you for being here for Leo, for us." Grandpa Samuel looked at his son and daughter-in-law, at the genuine remorse in their eyes, and then at his sleeping grandson. A slow, tired smile touched his lips. The hurt was still there, a dull ache, but it was overshadowed by the relief and the enduring love for his family. "Of course I forgive you," he said softly. "Family is family. We all make mistakes. We learn." He paused, then a familiar twinkle returned to his eyes. "Besides," he added, "who else is going to teach Leo how to make my famous scrambled eggs if I leave now?" Relief flooded through Sarah and David. Grandpa Samuel agreed to stay, not just for the remainder of his planned visit, but for a few days more, until Leo was fully recovered. The crisis had been a harsh teacher, but it had brought them closer, reminding them of the unwavering strength of family bonds. The laughter returned to the house, a little softer perhaps, a little wiser, but all the more precious for it. And Leo, once he was better, had a brand new story to hear from his grandpa, the one about how he was a superhero, not in a cape, but in an old station wagon. If you enjoyed this heartwarming story about family, forgiveness, and the true meaning of presence, please consider supporting our channel, like this video. If Grandpa Samuel's bravery and the family's reconciliation resonated with you, your likes help us share these meaningful stories with a wider audience. Subscribe to our channel for more uplifting tales, inspiring moments, and thoughtful narratives. Don't miss out on future stories that remind us of what truly matters in life. Leave a comment below. What did you think of Grandpa Samuel's actions? Have you ever experienced a moment that reminded you to prioritize family? What does family mean to you? We love hearing from you. Share your thoughts.